welcome in listeners. This is Margin Mavens, a podcast hosted by Steph and Kayla, where we share our thoughts on all things literature. Today's episode is about Be Right Back by Bill Wood, and we're so lucky to be joined by the author today. Now make sure to grab a snack and a drink, unless you're driving, then remember 10 and 2, and come hang out with us while we dive in. So Bill, it's been a long journey. What you feeling? How you doing?
It has. When did we last speak? Like 2024?
Oh gosh, yeah, 2024.
Yeah, 2024.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we were just talking about it off the podcast, but he was our first guest.
Yes.
That like officially went live and everything. He was our, let's stop being shy and talk to people. Yeah, what works, what doesn't work. We've been doing it ever since, and now we yap with too many people that I lose count.
Time flies.
Mm-hmm.
Time flies.
And now you have book 2 out.
Now you have book 2
and
out.
A book 3 in the works.
Yeah, it comes out in the UK in October. I don't think we've officially announced the US release, but it will be early 2027.
Nice.
But yeah,
I buy it through the UK. Don't you worry.
Yeah, Be Right Back comes out in the US in just a few weeks, actually, from when we're filming this. I think it's like March 3rd, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Trust, it's on my
exciting.
Amazon. Don't even worry. Well, her Amazon. We share Amazon chat. Yeah. So what was different? Because before we get into like the nitty gritty story stuff, because I might walk away during the story part of this episode, so I'm not spoiled on things. But before we get into that, what was your process different in writing this book than it was for the first one?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, this time I had a publisher who had to approve everything before I could actually start writing it, which I was always what they call a pantser, where you just like write off the cuff, you don't plan anything. That was very brummy of me. But obviously I can't do that anymore, so it took a minute to get used to, because originally we weren't supposed to be doing a sequel. My original contract was like for 2 standalones. And then Let's Split Up kind of overperformed by a lot. So I was like halfway through with something else. And then my editor sent me an email one day. I was like, what do you think about writing a sequel instead? I was a little annoyed because I was enjoying what I was doing, but I think it was for the best. But yeah, I just knew I wanted to do something bigger and better, like all sequels, especially horror sequels, should be. And it did take me a minute to like work out, I guess, what I wanted it to be, because in my mind, I think a lot of sequels, again, especially in horror, feel like really redundant and it just feels forced. So I wanted to make sure there was some substance there and like I was saying something. So that's why like this book specifically is like a huge commentary on like the sensationalization, is that a word, of true crime?
Yes. You know what, if it isn't, you made it one.
So that was like really important for me. But yeah, it came out in the UK, got back in October now, and like the reaction's been amazing, and I'm excited for it to hit the US shelves.
Well deserved. Truly.
What has it
grabbed me by the throat?
Yeah. No, yeah, she was yapping. It was good. I couldn't listen to her yap because, we're trying to be a spoiler-free household over here. Really put a strain on our yapping sessions. So obviously you got your big break through social media and everything like that. Obviously you're still using it. It's still one of your main ways of getting the word of your book out there and everything. What are some tips and tricks that you've learned in going into your second one?
Ooh, I mean, I'm like very lucky in the sense that I guess I kind of have, I hate the word, but like a fan base where people are promoting my stuff now. So that like takes a kind of a bit of pressure off me, because at one point, I feel like I said this last time, I was posting every single day, which you run out of ideas, man. So I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. But I guess consistency is a thing, but like consistency can look different to everyone. It can be every day, or it could be once a week. I think like algorithms, especially TikTok, like it when you're on a sort of pattern. I think, do you know what? I don't know. That's what people say, so I just believe them. Me nowadays, I just post when I have an idea. But I also think it's important to just, it sounds really corny, but like being yourself. I think people can really see through when you're like forcing a voice or like
A persona,
acting
yeah.
like not like yourself. Yeah, and I think as well, I've said this in the past when people have asked me, is like, as much as like authors, like, I mean, if I didn't have to use social media, I probably wouldn't be on it because it's just kind of takes over my life. But like having your face out there is really important for kind of, I guess, building a brand. Because if you were just showing a video, for example, of your book every day, people can't really connect with that, if that makes sense. Like, it's seeing a
Yeah.
face, people instantly obviously recognize you, and that really helps kind of building a connection with your readers. But again, I know it's not for everyone, but I think that's what I found worked for me, because then I'll be at events and stuff and people will recognize me even if I'm not like talking there, and it's really cool.
That is super cool.
That's
Have you
exciting.
enjoyed going live and stuff on TikTok?
Yeah, I didn't do it for years because it like really overwhelmed me. But I did it a couple times last year because I had to sign like 2,000 book plates, and it was like I need someone to help me. So I was like, my followers, and I signed them all, and then I didn't do it for ages. I did it again the other night, and that was really fun. So I'm going to try and get back into the swing of things, because again, it's just a way to connect with readers. You can kind of drop hints of like what's coming.
We do
Yeah.
love the dropping of hints. Feel free to drop all the
Me too.
hints.
I'll try. I will.
Kayla, do you have anything?
Yeah, I do actually. So, we all know in horror movies, like a sequel has to follow the rules. Were there any rules in particular that you had to follow or you didn't want to follow when it came time to write Be Right Back?
Oh, I mean, this book I wrote so long ago now. I think for this one, it was weird. Like, I didn't really, to be fair, whenever I write these books, I don't sit down and like, I need to include this rule and this rule. I think because I've
Right.
just watched so many films at this point, it's kind of just in my brain and it's just subconscious. Obviously, Amber is our character who's the horror buff, so it's really fun to write
Right.
her. And I know it's like the classic ones, like in a horror sequel, everyone's off limits. Like someone in like the main cast is always going to be a target, and trying to just up the tension and the stakes, while also keeping it YA was actually quite difficult. I'm really lucky that my publisher Scholastic, even though they're like kids in YA, at every turn they were like, yeah, let's make it bloodier. I'm like, guys, do you remember?
Do you remember our demographic here?
It's like
We're the chocolate erasers, guys. Like,
it's like, you published Clifford the Big Red Dog. Like, are we allowed to do this? But they were all up for it. I was really happy about that. But yeah, I guess kind of just general, just making everything bigger and better. So that's why like set pieces in this as well. Like, we're not just confined to Sonera anymore, and that's been really fun to explore. And then in One Last Scare, the final book of the trilogy, we're not even in Sonera anymore, so it's been like really fun to explore that as well. And I think, again, every sequel, it just gets bigger and bigger. I'm not going to get to the point where we go to space. I'm not going to Jason
that's good.
Dinosaurs?
Time travel?
Like 20 years for the reboot, I think. Maybe then.
Do schools in the UK have Scholastic book fairs?
They do, yeah. I had them all the time when I was little, and
those are core memories of mine. That was when I realized that I could be a really good thief if I really wanted to be. If I really wanted to dedicate time to the craft.
First, folks.
Honestly, I was with my team. I was with my team actually when we went to go and sign a bunch of books last year, just before Be Right Back came out. I was with my team, and some of them actually operate the Scholastic Book Fair, so I was just grilling them. I needed to know all of like the details, so I found out how the payment system works, how people get paid, how schools get paid. I was like, this is interesting.
One of my like favorite, so I have two very distinct Scholastic Book Fair memories. There's one where I was trying to buy a calculator because they had like a chocolate smelling one. Okay.
Okay.
I don't do math. Yeah.
We didn't have that.
But it looked like a chocolate bar and it smelled like chocolate. Right. And my dad gave me a very specific amount of cash. Right. So I go up to the thing. I didn't know how taxes work. I was like 8. And so they were like, oh, it's going to actually be like $5.25. And I was like, wait. It said $4.99, bitch. Like, I know how to read my numbers. And a friend's mom actually like gave me the like quarter, which was very sweet of her. But then when they came back, I did not want to deal with that kerfuffle again because it was embarrassing. So there's a very distinct memory of like seeing something I like, dropping it on the floor and fucking kicking it so that it slid across the floor to the other side of the library. And that is how I pulled off the major heist of like 2010.
Oh my gosh.
2010. I'm gonna throw up. For
Oh,
reference, chat, I was having a baby in 2010. I was out of high school in 2010.
Yeah, this was
anyway.
in elementary. Okay, I was in. Sorry, hate to do it to you. Hate to. No. It brings me a lot of joy.
Back to the book, because that's why we're here.
My bad.
Although I do enjoy listening to your heist stories.
Thanks. The Lou?
Yeah,
that was me.
FBI, she's joking.
Oh my gosh.
This last time we've ever heard from Steph. So we're gonna get into a little bit of spoilers.
Oh, gotta go, chat.
Have questions. I feel like I kind of can figure out the answer, but what was the thought process behind Cam being the one out of the group to stay behind in Cinera?
Again, it was just something that made sense, and I think like circling back to it now, I think it's kind of just like, I think with the first one, how I had these, I guess, the stereotypes from high school movies in the 90s and early 2000s. I wanted, and obviously I subverted them by like obviously Cam being the jock, but then he's also a lot more than that. I think I wanted to build on that. I wanted to like get away from him like getting that full ride scholarship that you hear about in the movies and whatever. And Cam just made the most sense for me, and it was then fun because I got to, I guess, Be Right Back is kind of his book, and like him kind of reclaiming what he wants in life, and that was really fun. And like I really struggled when I left high school working out what I wanted to do with my life, so that was actually really easy for me and quite healing. But yeah, Cam just made the most sense in my mind.
Yeah, he's just a sweet baby. And we start off with Cam, and he finds that the Carrington Ghoul is back, maybe, question mark. And it's just about Halloween time. There's a festival happening, so there's a bunch of people in town. Then the group comes back and things get really dicey. Sometimes literally, because we're talking about murder. Okay, this is something I've been dying to ask you since I finished this book. What is your beef with Buffy? Why do you hate my girl so much? Why would you do her so dirty?
I mean, I was so nervous about like what I did to this character. I think because it was so like I wanted something to be like really explosive and like shocking, and I was like, that was like the first thing that came to mind. And I remember running it past my editors, and they were like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "I think it will work out. I think it'll be a good learning opportunity for her."
Not the learning opportunity.
I don't know. I think as well with Buffy, obviously in the first book, she was, I guess, a suspect. Yes. Like we didn't have her POV in the first book properly.
Right.
So again, it made sense. I don't know. I think having kind of, I guess, it's like a red herring almost in this as well. I think just having that extra 1-2 punch just adds a little bit more. And again, we're in a sequel. We want things to be even more shocking, even more like, what the fuck did I just read? So I was like, why not? Like, you don't often see like a parent like doing stuff like this. So I thought,
this
why
is
not?
True. That is true. Like the poor thing. I hope Steph's not actively listening, but chat again, spoilers. she comes back to Sonera living her best life from college with her cute boyfriend. Like everything's great and hunky dory. And then she's leaving Sonera with no boyfriend and mom in jail. Like, what?
When you put it like that, I mean,
I was so upset at the end, but I was also like, oh, yes. Like, it was such a good twist to just have her mom. And then there's the opportunity for them to lie and just sort of leave everything on the killers, and they don't do that. Was that like a cognizant decision that you made? Like it just made sense for the story, for the characters, or both?
yeah, there was a question of whether or not I do that, and they literally have that conversation in the book. Like they were all willing to do it, but then Buffy's like, "No, we'll be no better than the killers if we do this."
Yes.
And I liked that conversation because I think it just that's what they would do. They're not those sort of people. But I think that conversation is really interesting, so I'm glad that I included it. But it does make me wonder now, like if I had done that, I think people would be like Loki livid at me.
I think either way. I think
Yeah.
you were in a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But it just really, I really appreciated that conversation because it really showed how close the four of them are, where they were like, no questions. Like if you want us to lie, we'll lie for you. Like willing to kill for each other, you know, like all of that, just having that core group. It does feel very Scooby-Doo, like Scooby-Doo-esque, and I love that so much. Not a lot of Amber, I feel like. I feel like this was mostly like Cam and Buffy's like stories. Does that mean we get more Amber and Jonesy in the third book?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I purposely I've got plans for them. Like I'm getting actually edits back next week for One Last Scare, and I love the book so much. I think it is wild. It's so like batshit, but in like the best way possible. Again, it's not in Sonera anymore. It's I can kind of tell you about what's happening, but they're in Chillshore, which is basically this haunted, supposedly like horror theme park off the coast of Alaska. Yes.
Got so excited my headphones came off.
It's off the coast of Alaska. It's like this remote island, so it is icy, it's cold, it's snowing. They're basically trapped, and it was so fun to work with. It kind of has a And Then There Were None sort of vibe, like Agatha Christie style to it. And it was just really fun kind of playing with those beats, because it is so different. Obviously there's a small town, but there's always that thought of like, well, they can get out. Not anymore. But Jonesy and Amber have a lot more to do in this book, and like there's reasons for that, and I think people are going to be really frustrated with the book, but also like it's a great end in my opinion.
I love that. So like no more 3, that's it.
That's all that's planned. Obviously, maybe in 10 years. But I've been asked before, and I don't know how it would work because they're already like 18, 19, which is already pushing it for YA. So I don't know how that would work, considering Scholastic only publishes up to YA. So I don't know how that works, but never say never. But at the moment, it's this.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, they could also just perpetually be, 1920.
There's very Scooby-Doo with them, if they
exactly.
Aged,
I was literally just gonna say that they could just Scooby-Doo all the way. Let's see. There was another. Oh, do we find out who Fallback 2841 is ever, or is that just like a loose end forever and ever?
It's not a loose end forever and ever.
Okay, good.
That was one thing as well. Like my publisher didn't want me to leave a thread, but I wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to. And I think it's like a really good payoff once you work out, because it's kind of been like hinted at throughout the books, and I'm so excited for people to read it. I'm so excited. I think that was one thing I found with these books as well. It's all business, but like publishers and then bookstores as well, that especially when it comes to, I think, thrillers and in particular, they don't really love series. They like having books that can potentially be read as
standalone.
standalone. So like
Yeah.
these, you can technically read book 2 first if you want. You're not going to obviously get everything, but you can. So that's why they were hesitant about me leaving Threads. But I'm just like, guys, it's still a series. It's still following the same characters, so they'll let me do it. And it's such a good payoff, in my opinion, at least. And we've just been
I'm so excited.
toying with all like the kinks of it at the moment, and it's just so fun. This book is really scary as well, by the way, and that's been really fun to watch.
It can't possibly be scary. Like, there was a point in time when I'm reading this, I'm like, oh my god, they're not making it out. This is it. This is the end.
It's just a lot darker, I think I'd say. I think just because the circumstances they're in as well. And like, as we were saying earlier, how we left Buffy in Be Right Back, seeing her, like, because One Last Scare is set like 5-6 months after Be Right Back. So seeing how she's faring now it was really interesting and fun to write. I did a bunch of research about, like, I mean, it's hard to like find people like on Reddit who have been in those situations, but I tried, and that was just really fun to kind of work out like what that would do to a human, like, other than just guessing, I guess.
Did you pull a lot from Scream? Because it did kind of give me like Scream Sydney, Scream 2 vibes, like the way that things panned out with Buffy. Did you ever like pull into like Scream 3 Sydney, where she's sort of just like trying to pull herself away from society? Did you consider like pulling that at all for Buffy, or is it completely different?
In my mind, Buffy kind of did the thing where she just fully threw herself into her work and into her college work and everything like that. But like with Cam in Be Right Back, my mind kind of went to in kind of Scream 3 and then like the Halloween 2018 sequel reboot thing, where it's just a lot of trauma and like how people deal with that, and it's like fight or flight and stuff like that. And again, that's when I think horror's really interesting, because especially in books, I don't really see books where you actually see people affected by what happened in the previous one. Again, I feel like horror sequels aren't super common in books either. Like, obviously in films they're everywhere, but I can probably name on my hand how many horror sequels I've ever read. So that was something I really wanted to explore with Be Right Back and with One Last Scare.
I love it. Is there anything that didn't make it into the book that you really wish had? Is there like a secret chapter out there somewhere?
I'm trying to think. There's definitely things that got deleted. One Last Scare, there was so much deleted. I rewrote like 20,000 words of it. I'm trying to think now. There's definitely like little bits. Actually, we added in Be Right Back a lot of the stuff between Amber and her parents.
Oh, yay!
That was like something I added in afterwards, because I was like, I wanted her to have her sort of moment of like, guys, I'm an adult now. Well, young adult. Because again, I kind of relate to that too. So it's one of those things as well, because people always ask me, it's like, which one do you relate with the most? And I was like, all of them. So,
like they're all just little bits of yourself in various
I think,
like forms.
Yeah, and it's not like in a self-insert sort of way. It's just like you write off like experiences. Obviously, I've not been in like a killing spree, but some of the emotions might be the same.
Can we talk about the dedication to the readers who always guess the ending? You've officially made me paranoid. Is that led to anything different in the third book that maybe like you weren't kind of expecting to do and you were like, oh crap?
I'm just gonna say plural culprits for the third one, just so no one knows anything. I changed the culprit whoever 3-4 times. I was like, I need to make this so out of the blue, but also like when you reread it, it makes sense. And I think we landed on something perfect. I think it was originally really convoluted, and after talking with my editors, we kind of not dumbed it down. We kind of simplified it in a sense, because it was a lot of like, what's going on. and I got it, but also I wrote it, so that makes sense. But my editor was like, I'm confused what's happening here. I was like, how do you not get this? And she was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I think it was definitely, it's one of those things as well. I think so, you're always going to hear kind of like the loud minority, in the sense, if
Yes.
someone guesses it really early on, you're going to hear from them. It's very, I feel like that voice is just louder, especially in comments.
Yes.
It's like the ones that really stick out. And after the first one, I was like, I need to do my best to make it really satisfying. And I think the thing is with these books as well, because they kind of do echo Scooby-Doo in the sense as like, when you watch a Scooby-Doo episode, you know who it is as soon as they're introduced, but it's
Correct.
the kind of the journey that still makes it fun.
It's
so even
getting
if
them
you,
to the point where they realize who it is.
yeah. And I think even if like maybe you guess the killer and be right back early, why is still as fun as
Right.
like who.
Right.
And I make sure to kind of play with that as well.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Did you know, spoilers again, because I'm gonna keep yelling about this, did you know when you set out to write this that Patrick was gonna be the one, like, or was that something that you like came up with while you were in the middle of writing?
I can't remember. I think it was him from the start. I think it was him from the start. I remember having a little bit of doubt because kind of like the boyfriend is so obvious. But that's why I was like that's why I went kind of further then with the why of it all and like his backstory, because that was really fun to kind of muster up. And then that's why I also added the whole Buffy's mum thing, because that came in a little bit later. I was like, I need an extra oomph. Again, we're in a sequel, we need to up the stakes. So yeah, I think Patrick was from the start, but like the why and stuff did change throughout.
Yeah, the why is like the kid is just a sociopath, basically. Like he just and you just can't help but feel bad for like Buffy, but then because then you think about it and it's like, man, Buffy loses her boyfriend and her mom, but then also like she's introduced this horrible person into her best friends' lives, and then the added like guilt of that, just, but then them, of course, because they're so wonderful, Cam, Jonesy, and Amber, they don't hold it against Buffy. They're like, okay, like that's your person, all right, cool, like he's included. Was that like intentional? Because I know in the first book, with Buffy being introduced, Jonesy was kind of like sus of her for a good chunk of the time, but nobody was really suspicious of Patrick. Is that just because their guards were down, or because they trusted Buffy that the person she was bringing into the group was a good person? Like, any thoughts?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it too much.
No. Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of shows Jonesy's kind of character, I guess, development between book 1 and 2, because book 1 he's very defensive, he likes things how things have always been, and so like obviously adding a new person, he's going to be a bit like, what's going on, like people are suddenly now dying when she joins the school. Yeah, I'd be sus too. But I think it just kind of shows that he's growing really comfortable with Buffy, especially like obviously they go to college together, so he trusts her, and I think that kind of adds to, I guess, the shock of it all. And like, oh, Jonesy trusts him, and then this happens. So that was definitely something I wanted to make sure is included. And again, people change, and I think him being at college kind of upped his confidence a little. He's still Jonesy, and I always Jonesy. Use that. I was like, Jonesy's Jonesy, like, come on, guys. But yeah, I was gonna say something now, and what was it? Oh, that we were talking about Patrick. I still remember the one comment in like my track changes when I first added the bit about obviously because he was doing the makeup and stuff for this killer, and like he'd learned from his sister, and just one of my editors are just like, all I can picture now is him at like a makeup desk with like practicing the makeup, and that picture is just hilarious to me.
Somebody has to draw that, just Patrick at like a cutesy little vanity, like with all the makeup stuff and skincare stuff, just putting on the faces. Oh gosh. Did you ever feel like extra pressure because there's this I found that like in sequels in general, both like in movies, in books, and even like sophomore albums and music, like there's higher expectations.
For sure.
Did you ever feel that pressure at all when it came down to like the nitty gritty of like publishing, Be Right Back, and all of that?
Yeah, it's weird. Like there's, I guess, pressures coming from like a commercial standpoint as well, like wanting it to do well. Although it's weird, like literature's like the one place where sequels never do as well. Obviously, because people have to read the first one, but then it's weird because movies, albums, they're supposed to get bigger, but books, there's not that same expectation. So like once I was like assured that by like my agent and my editor, it made me feel a lot safer and not as worried about matching the sales, because my first book did do so well. It was more so like making sure that people liked the book, because I had such a good response, I guess, from people reading it and like, oh my gosh, this reminded me of blah blah and this blah blah, and I wanted to make sure those people liked it while also branching out and like doing something different, because again, I wanted to make sure the sequel felt warranted, and I didn't want it just to be like let's split up but just reskinned, you know.
Yeah. You succeeded truly, and I'm not saying that because you're in my face right now, but because it really broke me out of a slump and then put me back into a slump, but like in a good way. In a good way, truly. I biting, for those of you who don't know, when I bite a book, it's usually because it's so good that I just like cannot, you know, like you can't rip a book, but you can, you know, a nibble, like just a quick bite. You can bite it. Yeah. And that's usually like how did I bite the book, then it's probably a 5-star. Like, you know, if I can get my little itty bitty mouth on it, it's probably a 5-star. And this was definitely a 5-star read for me.
I'll put that on like the blurb for the next one. Yeah.
Oh gosh. You mentioned that you were in the middle of doing a different book when they approached you about doing the sequel. Are we getting that book? Is it scrapped, or is it no? It's gone.
I scrapped it. I think I ended up taking some of the elements from it and inserting them into One Last Scare, actually, because it was originally set in the Scottish Highlands, and it was like very cold. So I kind of took that, I guess, that vibe for One Last Scare. And not surprising, actually. I think setting it in the Scottish Highlands as well, because it was like kind of culty. It was in the middle of nowhere. It was like they're stuck in this place, and I think it was kind of blessing in disguise, because after I moved away from it, I was like, this didn't really feel like what I wanted to do. And then the US wasn't really a fan of it either, because you guys are quite selfish. You like things set in the US.
Yes.
Well, publishing does especially. So I think it was a blessing. Never say never. I might come back to it.
Yes.
I have y'all on like 6%, so I don't hear you. But then I just heard the US is selfish, and I went retweet. Continue.
But yeah, never say never. It might come back, but I think for now I've got so much happening. So much stuff's coming next year, especially. That I'm just like, I don't need to do this right now.
So anything else besides One Last Scare that is coming up that you can talk about?
I guess I can hint. I have one more book with Scholastic contracted for next autumn in the UK. So we're hoping actually it will be, the dates will line up, so it will come out in the US at the same time. Fingers crossed. It really annoys me that they're synced. I thought we were gonna able to sync them up again, but they were like at the last minute, actually no. So fingers crossed. That book is really fun. When I signed my second contract, I said to them, I don't want to do Let's Split Up 2.0. I want to do something different. Like, I'm happy to do a mystery, but let me genre blend it. Let me do something with it. And I think we've landed on something really, really fun. I'm just waiting for like final approval, and then we're all go. There's something else, and I can't tell you at all. Like, I'm not allowed to announce it. All I'll say is that we're gonna move away a little bit from the young adult stuff, and that stuff That's as I say, I'm still gonna keep doing the young adult stuff because it's like I love young adult stuff so
Yeah.
much. I think it's what really got me into reading, especially, and it's what I grew up on. So I'm never gonna leave it. But I like having, like, I guess, two things to work on, and I'm so excited about this other thing that's happening.
I'm excited, and I know absolutely nothing about it. But yeah, I love the YA stuff, especially younger me. Younger me eats up novels like this. So
Mhm.
thank you for writing. Thank you for writing the Scenario 4. And I am so excited to see what comes in One Last Scare.
Oh,
I'm
she's
ready.
being mushy, chat. Listen to her.
And this is why I don't get mushy. Because then people highlight it.
She's
Anyway.
being so sweet, chat. In the comments, make sure you tell her how sweet she is.
I don't have anything else. Did you have anything you wanted to ask, Steph?
Nah.
You
Chilling.
sure?
Yeah. I'm just happy to be here.
Is there anything else, Bill, that you want to like talk your talk? Whatever else you got that you want to promote besides One Last Scare coming out?
Yeah, I mean, if US readers, Be Right Back does come out, I think the 3rd of March. There's a really cool sprayed edge that matches the first one for Let's Split Up in the US. Gorgeous. It's the entire first print run, so you can get it anywhere you want. I think it's low-key better than the UK one. I think it's so cool. I don't have my copy
America.
yet, even though they were printed at Christmas. I just don't have them. Hopefully soon. I don't know. Actually, I think we announced the TV show after we had this podcast, didn't we? Because that was announced last year.
100%. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you told us off the podcast. Like, we
Yeah.
knew
Oh
because
my
you mentioned
God.
that
Yeah.
people were looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got
so
the
that
confirmation
was-
after the episode.
Yeah, that, when was it? I think we finalized that January last year, and then announced it Marchish. I think it was we announced it the same day as the cover for Be Right Back, because no one told me that was being announced as well. I was like, oh, this is happening. But yeah, that's still in development. I'm really excited about that. Scholastic Entertainment, who did like all the Goosebumps stuff, obviously they did the His Dark Materials show, which was brilliant. I'm just so excited. I think
I'm so
given
excited
that
for you.
this story was literally birthed when I was studying screenwriting and stuff, it just feels kind of like super 360, 180, 360. I'm really full circle, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Math. We're not math people. Okay. I love that. I love that. Excited for you, and so happy to see all the success that you've achieved and what you keep doing.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate
I
you
think
taking the time to chat with us.
Of course, I think you guys were my first podcast as well. So again, another full circle moment.
We love circles.
Yay!
Freddy
We do.
I love circles.
I think that's it, chat. I think that's it, listeners.
That's all she wrote?
That's all she
right.
wrote.
Well, thank you, chat,
Yeah.
for being here. Thank you, Bill, for being here. Thank you, Kayla, for being awesome and always reading books, even though I definitely sign us up for way too fucking many. My bad. That's on me. Chat, if you haven't already eaten, take care of yourself. Make sure you're drinking water. The world is a scary place out there. Take breaks. All right. And we will see you guys in the next episode.